So I'm very excited to be here this evening because we've got Awie that is going to be chatting to us about knowing who you really are. Now that's going to have a lot of different meanings for everybody, but this is going to give you a huge perspective on where we are as sovereign beings. And I love the subject because gift of legacy is a way out of the matrix. It's a way out of this pyramid scheme that we've been put into for centuries. And that's a way out from a money point of view. Being a sovereign being is something completely different and something that we're going to shed some light on just now. So how are you doing tonight, Awie? Are you sorted with load shedding?
Yeah, just need a minute when I have to go out and start the generator, but then I'm done for 2 hours. Petrol is filled up, ready to go.
So maybe what we can do while we're just waiting for that, because Murphy's Law probably won't go off tonight. For those of you that don't know, in South Africa, we have hectic rolling blackouts. I think we started the trend of rolling blackouts and they've been threatening worldwide that it's going to happen. But at the moment, we're on stage 4, which means we get 4 times 2.5 hours of rolling blackouts a day at the moment. And some provinces even get 4 hours at a time, some 6 to 8. It really just depends. So it's crazy. I actually went with a friend today to somewhere that sells, inverters and all sorts of stuff. And they had the doors closed. We were like, no, why are you closed? And they said, we don't have stock. They had all of the stuff ready to go for people that have ordered, but nobody has stock of solar power, inverters, anything in the Western Cape on my side of the world. So that's very interesting. We should have got into solar power or gift of legacy. Either one can bring you a lot of abundance in your life. So Awie, do you want to just give us a little tiny summary of what you're going to be chatting about? And then what I'll do is I will start going through the stats. I can see the numbers are climbing of people joining. So maybe you can just give us a little outline of what you're going to be chatting about. And then I'll do the stats and that should give you enough time to sort the generator out.
Yeah, let's see who is in command today, because sometimes it goes off at the exact time. Other time it takes 17 to 20 minutes. But yeah, I basically came across common law because the whole system bothered me. I never finished school. I know now why. So I was a hectic rebel at a very, very young age because I knew something was wrong with this whole system and it bothered me. So at the age of 51, when all this whole pandemic was running, I found out what a virus was, and then obviously all the other rabbit holes just opened. And I followed one rabbit hole after the other one. It just went over and over, and that is where I came across common law. So I was basically studying common law now for 3 years. But yeah, this whole new world opened for me, and I knew that what was wrong when I was young now all came full circle. This whole world is a total fraud. We live in a world of theater. That's why they call it, and everything is in the words, that's why they call it the world is a stage. People don't know the meaning of words and how words can affect and move certain things in the world. They just use words and they throw around words, but they have no idea what the meaning is of the words. I mean, God created everything with just his mouth, just with words. That's the power. And we move everything in our world just through words. I mean, I can ask my wife to go and make me a cup of coffee, and all I have to do is utter the words, please make me a cup of coffee. And in 5 minutes, I've got a cup of coffee. It's not magic. It's just words, and words move stuff. That's the same thing with law. You know, people think law is just a word, and they throw it around like it's nothing. Oh, there goes the power. I'll be back in 1 minute.
No problem. I am very excited to share these stats. I am absolutely blown away. I mean, we knew when we pushed for the splitting of boards that it would create movement, but you remember on Tuesday, I shared the stats, and today, 4 days later, yesterday, actually, the end of yesterday, we got the updated stats, and wow, in the last month, it's been amazing. And I just go back to thinking about a training that Tim did. I just am a little bit of a loss for words as to which one it was, because he's done such amazing training, but he showed that graph of Apple. And he showed that it goes really high and then it goes really low. And then he kind of zoomed out and you actually saw the bigger picture. There were so many higher exponential growths within Apple over the time period. So if you haven't watched that video, I'm sure Tim can write it in the chat for us. That was really, really enlightening for me. So I think we had a little bit of a quiet time over May and June, and now it's just going like a rocket ship. So let me share that with all of you, because I know that this is one of the things that you look forward to on a Friday night. Okay. All right. So 14th of July. Here we are. At the moment, we have got 412,769 active users within Gift of Legacy. So you'll see at the bottom of this page, June the 17th was 372,465. So in the last month, we've had 40,300 new people joining our wonderful and amazing community. And you'll see in June, we only had 7,818. So it's bounced back in a wonderful way. And I think it's just going to grow from that. So let's have a look at the bronze boards. We've got 356 active users on bronze boards. And in the last month, since June the 17th, we've gone up by 37,861 people on the bronze boards. On the silver, we've got 15,820 active users, which means that in the last month, we've increased by 2,223. And you'll see June was only 135 people. So that is fantastic. And it's double of what we had between May and June, which is fantastic. Silver, we've got 1,335 active users, on gold boards, 1,335 active users on gold. And you'll see between June the 10th and June 17th, we had 0. And July 14th, we've grown by 181 people since then on the gold boards. Platinum, always wonderful to see this figure growing. We've got 240 active users, which means that in the last month, we have grown by 20 new people on the platinum boards, which is brilliant compared to that last week. So how many legends in Gift of Legacy to date? Well, we now have 43,530 legends that have completed the bronze boards, which means that we've got 3,071 new bronze legends since Monday. How amazing is that? Since the board started splitting on Monday night, we've got 3,071 new bronze legends. That means we've got $34,824,200 that was generated between participants sharing their gifts with one another. And I always like to just put a little disclaimer in here. Gift of Legacy has not generated any of these gifts themselves because we're not a company. We are just a platform that assists with movement on the boards. So this is between peer to peer, person to person, that this amount of money has been generated. Absolutely fantastic. Silver boards, we've got 1,449 silver boards that have been completed, which means the same legends, and 4.636800 million worth of $400 gifts have been received. And just since Monday night, 101 new silver legends. That's fantastic. 130 gold legends have received $1,664,000 worth of $1,600 gifts. And that means we've had 5 more silver legends just in the last couple of days. Our platinum, we've got 31 legends that have received $1.240 million worth of 5,000 gifts. And just this week alone, we've had 2 more platinum legends which have completed. So the movement is there. Everything's working. People are doing their thing. And I'm just so happy to show these figures. So in the last 4 days, our participants have gifted one another $2,924,200 just in the last 4 days. That is absolutely brilliant. We are responsible for 45,140 GL legends. And altogether, what we have done peer-to-peer gifting in the last 6 months is $42,365,000. That is just absolutely incredible. So give us a thumbs up if you're happy with those stats and you're excited to share them with your hopefuls. And I'm going to now hand over to Awie because he started talking about something really incredible. So over to you. Oh, I need to unmute you. There you go.
Cool. Right. So before the lights went off, yeah, the words and how we use the words is very, very important. Law stands for land, air, and water. That's 3 different jurisdictions. Jurisdictions mean control. So you have the land jurisdiction, you got acoustic law, with other words, your canon law, that's your Bible law. And then you got law of the sea, that is water. That is your maritime law. That's why they call it maritime law. And that is your trade law. That is your e-commerce. That is your law of the dead, contract law. And that is where your one corporation can now go into contract with another corporation. And that is how it works. That is how trade worked those days, because they came with ships. Then the ship, just listen to the words I'm using. So then the ship birthed. Okay, because you only can birth a ship. And then where does the ship birth? Into a dock. Okay, so now we go to where we were born. The day that we were born, where all this, they call it constructive fraud, started. Now this is going to blow your mind a little bit. But this is where basically all the fraud started, and they took your identity and they just ran with it. Okay. So they birthed you. That is where your mother birthed you. The doc came and he cut the umbilical cord. That's the doc. Then you get a birth certificate. Now those days, your lawyers were on the ships, and they had the birth certificate with all the stock and all the stuff that was on the boat that now is going to be traded. So there was values on that and whatever. So now your mom and dad think they must now fill in a form that just registers you on whatever for the government, just to tell you that you were born wherever and now you can go on with your life. No. Your mom and dad signed a contract with the state, with your government. Government is governed or govern mind. Words. It's all wordplay. So what happens now is now you're registered. Your mum basically signed you off as stock. The government opens a corporation in your name, totally unbeknownst to you, unbeknownst to your parents. They don't know about this, and that is where this constructive fraud starts. So now they opened a corporation. They basically, the doc, when he cuts your umbilical cord, he sends you out to sea. So you're dead at sea. You're lost. Now you're just stock. So the man or the woman that was born free on the land is now gone, out to sea. That is how this whole thing starts. So now a corporation has been opened in your name. Now that is because there was a contract signed that your mum and dad didn't know about, makes that contract null and void. Okay, because all the information wasn't. If you see how contracts work, there must be a meeting of minds and stuff like that. So there must be a consent on both sides. Then you only get 31 days to register your child, or you can go to jail, or you can get a sentence or whatever, fine. So that is under what do you call it? If you must do something, can't get onto the word. But anyway,
compulsory.
Say again.
Compulsory.
No, not compulsory. Is if you as jy gedwing word in iets, can't get onto the name. But anyway, that also makes any contract null and void. Okay, because you were basically threatened and with a fine and with jail sentence, so that makes the contract null and void anyway. But okay, now that little baby that was born 100% free, you must remember we never came with a contract. There was no contract strapped onto our bodies, onto our backs, or wherever, that we are now the property of anyone. Remember that word property, okay? Going to use it quite a lot. So now you go into the world, you get your little ID number, because that's your slave number. So everyone gets this little slave number. Now you get to be 21 or 18, and you open a bank account. Now the bank opens another corporation in your name. Now you will see on your birth certificate and in your ID, your name and your surname is all capital letters. Okay, so that means you are capitalized. So now you're capitalized, you're basically a corporation. So now your bank makes another corporation, also unbeknownst to you, because they never stipulated in that contract that you are a free man with a living soul. And now we are going to open a corporation in your name, and we're going to use that corporation to steal money from you. Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot. But I mean, if you go and make a personal loan, what they do is they go into your trust. Now, the trust was started the day that you were born. So that trust runs in millions of rands that not one of us know. Okay, they call it a Val de Vie or Sal de Vie trust. That was started in the 60s when England burned down. So that's why everyone has got this trust. Now, that is not just in South Africa, it's all over the world. It's the same exact thing. So that's why common law is very important, because when you see how corporations work, a corporation can only go into contact with another corporation. A corporation cannot go into a contract with a living soul. With other words, a man or woman. That's why you will always see in any contract, you will see the word person or persons. Look at the word person. Person is a persona. look at the word persona. It's a fiction. It does not exist. So only you, whatever you think is on your ID book, is just paper. So that's a person, a fiction that only is on paper. Okay, you guys with me so far? So we go through this whole, that's why your government can't write laws. They can only write statutes, rules, regulations, and acts. They cannot write law because there's only one law. Don't do wrong or harm or trespass against your fellow man. That's it. That's the law. That's the law of the universe. Universe means uni, one, verse, sentence. How did God create everything? One sentence. That's what universe means. People don't know that. That's why they call it a friendship, partnership. Okay, happy ship. Me and you both went on an happy ship. You remember, Candz?
Oh, yeah.
We were happies. Happy ship. It's all trade. It's all about trade. That's how we trade. But luckily, you can use that trade name as you see fit. Okay, so you don't have to use it if you don't want to use it. When I'm on my bike, I don't ride with a driver's license. Nothing. My bike is on the previous owner's name. I don't want it on him because I'm traveling. I'm a traveler. Okay, I don't drive. Everything is in the words. Okay, and when they stop me, I just say, "Listen, I don't have ID. I don't have my driver's license with me. I've got nothing to do because I'm not busy with e-commerce." So when they don't have joinder with me, and they can't have joinder with me, they can't contract with me. And 100% of the time, they just tell me, "Go on your way, be safe." That's it. I had a lady that did that 3 times to 3 roadblocks. They couldn't get joinder, no contracts, and 3 times they just let it go. At the other lady yesterday that was in court for a traffic fine or a traffic violation, they say, again, she wasn't busy with e-commerce. She was just traveling. And unfortunately, she presented them with an old driver's license card, and that is why they could write out a fine. But when she was in court, the first thing I told her, stand in your block, ask the jurisdiction. In what jurisdiction do they move? Because you're on the land, and you want to know if you are going to move into maritime jurisdiction. So when the judge came in, she was the only one that still sat down. She never stood up, and they freaked. And she said, "I don't have to stand. I'm sitting on the land, yeah, because your benches on the one side is the land jurisdiction, and when you go over to their little ship, their little theater, then you are on their jurisdiction." So she left. She went out of the court, and later she was called back in, and they said, "Yeah, you must go through the other door." And when she went through the other door, she remembered what I said and said, whoa. And she opened the door and she asked the judge, "So listen, if I go through this door, am I on maritime jurisdiction? Because I'm on the land. I was born free on the land, and I'm staying on my side of jurisdiction. So I just want an answer. If I go through this door, will I go to maritime jurisdiction?" And this guy freaked. He totally freaked. And then eventually she was just chased out of the court. And that's it. She went out. So nothing happened.
Brilliant. I love it. It's just
so
having the balls to stand up to them, you know, because
Yeah.
for all our life, we've just been taught to fear these people.
Exactly. We were programmed through all these years. You must remember, school is only a place where you get programmed. Okay.
Mhm.
Then you get home and you switch on the idiot box. And then the idiot box still programs you a lot more. You get to see all the shows, you know, judge and jury, and then you see all this crap. You get programmed all the time. Now you get into a specific space where you need a lawyer. I call them liars. And you go to the lawyer and say, listen, I'm this and this and this. You on the legal side. Now, there's a massive difference between legal and lawful. Okay. Legal, and listen very carefully. Legal only applies to what is incorporated. Okay. So when you incorporated your business and all that stuff, that gets to be legal. Legal papers, legal this and legal that. Okay. Lawful only applies to a man or a woman. Full stop. Okay. So if you're on the road, or you think you have to have a driver's license to just travel, yes, you need a driver's license when you are a trucker or a bus driver, taxi driver, or whatever, because we as a public, everyone needs to know that the guy that drives that truck know exactly how to drive the truck. So yes, he needs a license because he's busy with e-commerce. He's making money with his truck. The bus driver is making money with his bus. Okay, so that's e-commerce. But if you travel from point A to point B, you don't need a driver's license. You don't even need a license on your car. Because as soon as you license your car, do you think that car is still yours? It's not yours. It's the government's. You are now just hiring that car, throwing petrol into it, throwing a lot of money because it's just a money pit. But if you don't pay your taxes, they can collect your car. They can go and access your bank account, because whose bank account is, whose money is it? Is it your money or the government's money? It's the government's money. So you're working for the government all the time because you're working as a fiction your whole time, all the time. You must remember, who creates, owns. So the government created you. They created the fiction. So now they own you. That's why they own the money. They own everything that you register to them. And you've got that little license disc on your car that can prove that it's theirs, not yours. And they can come and take it anytime you want. Now we come to SARS. SARS is a corporation. Just like our government is a corporation. You can go and look it up. Everything I say, you can go and look it up. In 1994, we went from a republic to South African Republic Corp, Inc. So we're a corporation. So can a corporation write rules or law? They can't write law. No corporation. So they're nothing more than a McDonald's and a Burger King. So imagine the CEO of Burger King writes in a law, and if you drop a French fry on the floor, you get jailed for a month. You were laughing. You would laugh at this. What is this guy on drugs or something? Now we have a CEO and all these other ministers that just wakes up the one morning and they think, no, you know what? I'm going to write this law and this statute, or they think they write law. It's just this rules and regulations, and all of the citizens must now abide to that. Now, if you go and look at the word citizen, it's just that you're part of this community, you're part of the system, and you're a slave. They own you and they tell you what to do. That's a citizen. Okay. Again, We get screwed every single day because everything is all about money. The guy on the bench, oh, by the way, the word bench means bank. Okay, so the guy with the black robe, he's just a banker. And he gets money for every single thing that he does. Now, the bar, whoever is a lawyer in here will know they must pass the bar before they can represent any person. I say person because it's just a fiction. Every person in the court. Now, the bar is a club. It's like a institution that was born in the UK. Now, all the courts is now run by the bar. They got their own dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary. Person in their dictionary, okay, means, again, fiction and nothing. It's nothing. You have no rights. As soon as you step into that court, you have no rights at all. That's why a lawyer will represent you. He can't represent you. He can only represent, because you can only represent a dead entity or a fiction. You can't represent a fiction. Okay, that's why you don't get allowed to speak in court. They can only, because they pass the bar. Okay, it's if you know how courts work and how their paperwork works and all that, then everything starts to make sense. So the bottom line is, whoever you think you are is not who you are. You are much more. As soon as I call you Mr. or Mrs., I put a title on you, and I basically demoting you from a man, a living man or a living soul. I'm demoting you to someone that doesn't even exist. Okay, that's why you will always see on your letters they start with a Mr. or a Mrs., because they already speaking to your fiction. All contracts, persons, no mention of any living soul or man or woman, not even one word of a man or woman in any contract. And you can go and look till you're blue in the face. There's nothing. There's only persons. Persons, persona, fiction. So we live in a fictional world. Now, if you watch Matrix was not just a movie. It was a documentary. They showed everyone how the system works and how Neo eventually waked up into a world that he didn't even know. That is how I woke up. It's crazy, and it just blows my mind every single day. And if the people that don't wake up to the fact of who and what they are, we are lost, and we're going to be lost forever, because now we're already stuck. Okay, we're already slaves. We don't even know we are slaves, and that's the sad part of it. Slavery, they said slavery were abolished a few decades ago, but it was never abolished. They still carry on. There's a baby slave market, a baby trade that's still going on today. Still today. Every time a baby gets born, they get enslaved. Right there. Not even a minute old. They're already a slave. But yeah, yes, I can go on and on with this.
Please do. It's so fascinating. Also, with regards to the car, am I correct in saying that you shouldn't call it a car or a vehicle? It's a private conveyance.
It's a private conveyance, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a private conveyance. You're just traveling. That you can literally travel from one country to another country. There is no borders. The problem we all have is, firstly, the government. Now, the government is there's no man or woman. that you direct as government. It's just CEOs and all that. But your politicians, those guys are the poison, because the politicians, they do the dividing. I mean, they've been dividing us for millennia. And when you can divide, you can conquer, and then you can put in borders, and now you can do this and whatever. They are literally a lot of criminals running the world. That's why the elite says, and it's their words, not mine, we are useless eaters. Because we can't think for ourselves. We're little sheep. They come out with a little virus where people don't even know what a virus is, and they lock down the whole world. People close their businesses. They lose their businesses because of a virus that your body makes. That's a virus. A virus is a thing that your body makes. It's excretions of a dead cell. It's not. It doesn't even have a nucleus. It's not a living thing. It's not a living thing. But people just believe anything because they were programmed to do that. The whole thing. That's why I'm so glad I never finished school. There was never time to give me that programming. But my state of mind is question everything. And I question literally everything. I don't believe if someone tells me the sun is shining, then I will walk out and say, okay, the sun is shining, I'm seeing it now. I don't believe anyone, not even my mom and dad, because that is my rational thinking. My brain still works. I see about 90% of people, their brains don't even work. They can't see what is in front of their faces. And that is what makes me scary, that people can't turn this whole thing around. NASA gets millions a day from taxpayers. And what do? They have little shows and show, listen, we can do this and we can do this. We shoot this rocket up and they throw it into the sea, because there's where the rockets go. The rocket goes nowhere, it just goes into the sea. So they spend all these millions and millions just for control of the people. People don't even know where they live. No, I can go further on with that, but that will freak people totally out. But anyway.
I was watching this very interesting documentary about the Rothschilds, and right in the beginning of South Africa, when we actually became that corporation. And De Beers, everybody knows De Beers Diamonds. Yeah. They actually started that programming in TV because they actually got hold of the movie producers back in the time when Marilyn Monroe and all of those beautiful actors and actresses were out there and Hollywood was just starting out. And they got hold of the big producers and they said, please, we're going to give you diamonds. Just make sure that in your movie, you make it look good with people wearing diamonds. And even getting engaged was something that De Beers created. And then we get programmed into your 10-year anniversary, you get a diamond, your 20th anniversary. That's all from the movies and from the programming that De Beers started all that time ago. That also just blew my mind.
They started all the universities. They have the doctors' universities. I mean, they own all the pharmaceuticals. They have universities, colleges, whatever. So everything that all these guys, they go for years and they go and study. What do they study? It's stuff other people wrote that was told, write this, write this, write this. History can be changed. Now, I've been listening now. That's a new rabbit hole I'm going down. Basically, our world it's like layers. Every time they wipe the one civilization they build just on top of another civilization. So it's one civilization onto another one. They just scrap it, build another one, build another one. And they keep changing history. What are they doing now? They're trying to go transhumanism. So the next stage of their evolution that they still can't today prove, because I haven't seen any banana just miraculously through evolution, through time, grew up into a monkey. But anyway, bananas is still bananas. But yeah, this whole evolution thing, this whole thing is just to how can I say, it's just control. And what they're now doing with fear is they're trying to use the fear as a control mechanism to change the world again. And now we're going into a phase that we're basically going to be all plugged into artificial intelligence, and we're not even going to be allowed to think, because our think patterns will already be on the AI. They will know us better than we know ourselves. They will know exactly when we're going out, what we're going to buy, how long we spend there, everything. That is being recorded now as I speak. Everything, every single thing we do gets recorded. You think your cell phone is your friend? It's a tracking device. They know exactly what you're doing every single minute of every single day. And that gets fed into a massive computer. And that computer, you will see, as soon as you go onto Facebook and you click on, well, I'm a motorcycle guy, so I think, okay, listen, I had enough for Harley Davidson. I will look at one picture of a Honda. 2 seconds later, I see another picture of Honda. Then I see movies of Honda. Then I see another pictures of Honda. Just Honda, 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 Honda. So they know exactly what you're looking at and how to get to you. They know your psyche better than you know yourself. And how far do we actually need to go so that we will be ruled totally by the elite? And I mean, there will be farms of workers, and we will be the workers.
And Google doesn't even hide it from you anymore. They'll say to you, look where you've been this month. You've gone here, there, and the next place. And then I was driving from Cape Town to Sedgefield, and I was quite busy driving around. And they even alerted me and said, wow, this month you've even traveled more. So they make you think like, wow, this is amazing. But they're actually giving you full disclosure that that's what they're doing. They're actually just following you. And, you know, Facebook, all of those social media things are part of a 40-year psychological study. So they've been studying everything about us before they launched those platforms. And then, of course, launching those platforms gave them so much more insight as to how we function.
This whole pandemic was in the works for more than 50 years. So they've been working on this whole the whole time. But I mean, that's why common law is a very a must-have, and the knowledge that you must have to move forward, because only we the people can change the whole system. Only we can. We put in government to look after our stuff. That's it. They are not here to rule and tell us what to do. We are there to tell them what to do. Now the people say constitution. Oh, we have a constitution, beautiful constitution. Oh yeah, it's a fantastic constitution. The constitution wasn't written for us. The constitution was written for them. So they must know where the line was drawn. Not for us, it's for them. It's their little rule book. People think, no, we got a constitution. No. It's for them. They are at the moment in an abuse of office with this whole genocide thing going on. And we're still going on. No one comes to book, because who owns the courts? them. And if we don't wake up, that's the guy, what's his name, Christopher James. That is what he's trying there in Canada, to get a lot of people around the court so they now can move their own court. Because it's a public court. You must remember, public court is our court. We built that building. It's ours. It's not theirs. It's not the bar's. It is ours. So we can lay claims. So that is what he's trying. He's now going to try to access the court on common law to lay claims. And as soon as that happens, that will be the light for the rest of the world. And then we will be free like this. And all these billions and billions of dollars that was stolen from us and was impounded basically in all our trusts will flood in. And we will never know poverty again in any place in this world. Only one man that I know of that is fighting this fight. Luckily, there's now a lot of people that's joining, and a lot of police is also now joining him. Oh yeah, another thing about police. The police, the SAP, is also a corporation. So you don't have a peace officer anymore. Peace officers is like the old sheriffs, so they're peace officers. We have police officers, policy officers. So they only have policy. Like I said, everything is in the words. Okay, so they're policy officers. So they only have duties and obligations. Obligations is contract. So they have a contract and they got duties on that contract. They got nothing to do with us. They're literally a mall cop with a gun. And if that light goes on, then everything changes. Everything changes. Because if they stop you, and that is what I do, I try to school when they stop me, I try to school them. I ask them, listen, in what capacity are you stopping me? Are you stopping me as a man? Or are you stopping me as a peace officer? Or are you stopping me as a policy of a police officer? So a peace officer or policy officer, police officer. And he says, well, what do you mean? I say, well, if you stop me as a policy officer or police officer, then I've got nothing to do with you. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to give you anything, nothing. I can help you. If you need help, then I can help you. But I've got nothing to say to you. If you're here as a peace officer, then I need a claim that is written and signed with wet ink that I caused any wrong or harm to anyone. So I need that claim in writing. If you don't have that and you stop me as a man, then choose your coffee shop and then we can go and drink a cup of coffee. The guy usually asks, why are you asking me all this question? And I said, listen, I'm under common law. I'm the common law. I'm not busy with e-commerce. I've got nothing to do with any rules, regulations, statutes, or acts. So I've got nothing to say to you. And that's it. Easy. It gets easier because you get, it's just your how you've been brought up. If a police officer stops you or whatever, and he's got his sirens on, and then, oh, you're frightened, your heartbeat goes up. No, he's just a man. He's just a man. He put on a uniform this morning when he woke up. Just put on a uniform. Now all of a sudden he's got authority over you. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. It's just a man. No man is above another. That does not exist. I never gave him authority to stop me. I don't even gave him authority to speak to me. I don't have a contract with him. I don't have a contract with his corporation that he's representing. So why do I have to speak to him? So if he thinks he can write me a ticket, he must prove that I have a contract with the Road Traffic Management Corporation, that I signed a contract where I'm now their property and they can make and do whatever they want with me and my property. If they can't prove that, they're now trespassing. And they're hindering me to travel. So they're trespassing. Easy.
So Awie, where I've got some people asking where they can go and learn more, where you learned. Is there a course that you can do? Because I think the main thing is we all moving in the right direction. We all know that the current way that we're living isn't working. Otherwise, we wouldn't be with Gift of Legacy. And I think this really does go hand in hand with that. Yeah. So if we could just learn the right words, we'll be untouchable. Like we wouldn't necessarily need to give anything to SARS. I mean, how does it get that?
It's just what you're saying. It's all in the words. And as soon as you start using words they don't know about, then whoa, it's like a judge. They just threw that lady out. Says, no, just go out of my court. It's not his court. It's not his court. He is a public servant. Okay. Now the people go on toy and whatever to protest against who? They protest against their servants. From when do you protest against your servant? You kick him out if he doesn't do the job. So easy it is. They are servants, nothing more, nothing less. But anyway, yeah, Christopher James, he is, that's where I got all my stuff. Christopher James is on awarriorcalls.com. awarriorcalls.com. You can go through his whole website. There's so much information. It's all free, pay nothing. No, a warrior calls.
Oh.
Yeah, awarriorcalls.com. And then my Telegram group. I think I put you on my Telegram group, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Common Law SA or Common Law ZA. And then there's also a fantastic lady in America. She's now trying to get the land back to the people. Because all this, your houses and all that stuff is all fraud. This whole system is fraud. It's one massive fraudulent system. So she's trying. That's Anna von Wright. I think her website is just annavonwright.com.
With the W or an R?
Oh my word, I don't know how to. It's Anna von Wright. Anna von Wright. It's like a. Hey, kyk jy gaan. She was a high court judge, so she knows everything.
That's amazing.
Inside out. Love that. And I'm going to read you a thing that I found on our website. Oh, okay. Okay, that is on her website. Now she's a high court judge now. It's not somewhere anybody. So now the legal definition of a person is defined as corporation. Okay, so there she says it. A legal definition of a human being. We like to use the name human. What is a human? You, man. We are man and woman. Okay, we're not a human. Now, the legal definition of a human being is defined as monster. Okay, so as we say, oh no, I'm a human being. I've got human rights. No, you got monster rights. That's what you're actually saying. Yeah. So the legal definition is basically you're a thing. Where did I press now? Ek het nou iets opgemaak wat jy moet opmaak nie. Okay, so the legal definition of a resident. So if you think you're a resident, who is a resident? A resident is a thing that's published on our web pages. Okay, and she knows everything. She knows Black's Law Dictionary like a palm of hand. Okay, so the legal definition of a taxpayer is withholding agent. That's the meaning. That's why I say we must know what we're saying. Know the meaning of words. Words got meaning. So which is further defined as a warrant officer in the British Merchant Marines, which is clearly unconceivable. So I'm going to explain this like a 10-year-old for ease of comprehension. So I live in a Commonwealth country, thus your copyrighted person, aka strawman, is entitled to its share of the Commonwealth. Being a precious resource that leave your scores every day on cargo ships, the person is formally known as a shelled AQV via trust. That's why that's where I said about the trust. And every single day that you're alive, that registered trust grows exponentially to the tune of around, okay, wait for it, $50 billion for a retired serf in their 70s. So if you're 70 years old, your trust is worth $50 billion. So the day that you die, okay, that's why they call it a mortgage. So you're already dead. You stay in a mortgage. You stay in a home that is called a morgue. Again, look at the words. They use the words. It's right in your face. People don't know it. So the Unidroid Corporation can only access that trust while we're alive by implementing prisons for profit, and are able to tap the account of 9K a day. So they can get $9,000 out of your trust every single day without a problem while you're alive. This is why the police are instructed to hold and release watched house prisoners until just after 12 p.m. so they can tap into their KCB trust as for a further 9K. So that's why I say, if you go to your bank and you ask for a loan, they tap into that trust. They get that money from your trust, your own money, and they give it to you. They basically sell your own money to you, and now they ask a percentage back on that money. So that's double dipping. Nice, eh? So it's 100% impossible to fight these rapacious, administrative UCC courts. So there's a uniform commercial code, as the living men and women are fraudulently defined as persons. Moreover, a further legally defined as things in their quasi-piracy courts that is controlled by the administrative quorum impersonating judges. Everything is just play. It's a play, and you're part of the play as a persona, and they're making money off you. That's the system. And all you do is work for money, and they take the money in any which way they can. Now there's this tax and that tax and whatever, but not once can they produce any contract that you have signed. I mean, there was SARS phoned me about 3 years back. No? 3 years back. About 3 years back, SARS phoned me and said, why didn't I never fill in a tax form? So I said, well, I never had necessity to fill in a tax form because I worked at panel shops, and the panel beater guys, they had a contract with you, and they paid side tax. With other words, whatever I worked for, the tax was taken off my weekly salary, and they gave whatever needs to go to you. So they had a contract with you. You never had a contract with me. I don't owe you a cent. I never asked you for a cent, and I have no contact with you. Never heard from her again.
Love it. Love it.
That is how easy it is. Everything, if they want to move in maritime law, that is our personas, is now moving in this maritime law little world, they have to produce a contract. If they can't produce a contract with your wet signature on, they are busy with fraud and extortion. Easy.
So Awie, David was asking, how can we get access to this trust?
There is people that is emancipating, they call it emancipating and whatever. It's all paperwork. But I don't do anything on that front. I know when Christopher James gets to that court, everything else will follow. You must remember, our fiat currency is just getting printed. We don't have any gold, so it doesn't get backed by any gold. Not America, not South Africa, nothing is getting backed from gold except China. I think China is the only one that's got gold at the moment. So their fiat currency is still backed by gold. Ours is nothing. That's why they call it currency. You have a currency in the sea. Now you've got a current. So that's why they call it currency. So all the currencies in the sea. And how did maritime law come onto the land? Through the banks. You get a river bank, you get a sea bank. It's all in the words. Bank is not just a word. It's placed there for a purpose. So the banks got maritime law and trade law onto the land, and now they took over our sovereignty. They took it away the day that we were born. So yeah, that's a story.
Okay, so last question before we finish. Thank you, Awie. I'm sure you've enlightened a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of questions, and we might have to have you on next week again. So we'll just see how it
Not a
goes.
problem.
But Tim is asking, if we have paid tax before, does that not count as an agreement?
No, there's no contract. You must remember, as someone that signs any contract, I can go into contract with you, and I can go to you and say, listen, cancel that contract anytime I want. Anytime. No contract is binding. Yes, we can have a contract. I mean, if you look at all the stages that you must go through to actually sign a contract, I can bet you there is at least 5 of that points that never gets done. And one with SARS, they have no contract. They have no contract. Yes, you paid your taxes in, but it's because you didn't have the knowledge. So you stood as your fiction, and your fiction because you were thinking of, no, I'm my fiction. I'm that little number in my ID book. Now I must do it. No, it's not you. It's your fiction. It's like this one guy. He was standing in court, and I can't remember about what it was, but the guy called out his name. He says, no, you're talking to that piece of paper there. So that was his birth certificate and his ID. Is a lot of pack of papers that's laying there. He says, no, you can talk to that. I'm a living soul. I'm standing here, but you can talk to that. They went out of court, they came in, they went out again, came in, and then they threw out the whole thing. Because there was no joinder, and they know they can't work with a fiction. It's just, if people only knew who and what they really are, this whole world can change in a week. In a week. So, yeah. Sad. Why I can't get any. There's no sound.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh. I was still on mute.
Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on there. So thank you so much, Awie. I have I've put a link in the chat for Awie's common law group. I've said Christopher James, and there's also a YouTube link which talks about the straw man. So pretty much what Awie said this evening, they explain it to you as your straw man. So I'm just going to share it again. It's such a great video, and I don't think it's very long, maybe 7 or 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's 7 minutes.
Yeah. So go and have a look at that. It's a brilliant video, and I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, but join that group. And yeah, let's get well versed in common law, because it can absolutely change our reality.
Yeah,
like this.
Everything. Yeah, if you only know what the state can do, because you're not a corporation, and you know you're only the beneficiary of your straw man or your fiction. You're the beneficiary, so you have to benefit of that. Are you benefiting? Are any one of us benefiting? We're going to the vote. We're going as voters, and we go and vote for whatever party. Okay, but as a voting member, okay. Now, as soon as you in a corporation, I mean, I'm talking maritime law, I'm talking contract law, I'm corporation. Now, as a corporation, if you have the power to vote, you need to be a member of that corporation. Okay. As a member, as a voting member of that corporation, you have to get dividends of that corporation. Have any one of us ever, as a voters, got any dividends? Yearly, monthly dividends from our corporation that runs this country? It's all fraud. Everything is fraud. It's a stage, and everyone is acting as that little straw man, or as that fiction.
Oh. Thank you so much, Awie. Sure, I'm sure lots of food for thought for everyone. I just love listening to it. I think it's absolutely amazing. And there's a lot of people that actually do know what's going on. So yeah, we can always just have more speakers on the subject, because like Awie said, he can talk for hours. It's a rabbit hole that goes deep and has many tunnels.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
My pleasure.
And I definitely look forward to the next one. And thank you all for joining us. And I'm sure for those of you watching the recording, you'll be watching it a second time. And we will see you on Monday. We've got Mia. Mia is doing Back by Popular Demand. She's going to be talking about fear, facing your fears, and just moving past them. And I'm sure when you come into the gifting community and you want to share this with lots of people, there's a lot of fears that do come up. So I'm looking forward to that. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Big love, big hearts. And remember, you're a woman or a man. We're not persona anymore. Bye, everybody. Chris, you need to close.
Oh, yes, good idea. Flipping awesome, eh?
Yeah, brilliant. Really, really cool. Have a good evening,
Sure.
everybody.